on the screen, so feel free to follow us if you want to. We're from Dahl Studios, creators of Size Does Matter, which hopefully many of you have played and heard of. And our CEO sits right there, Merethe. Just want to point that out as well. So we call our presentation Stepping Stones because we're kind of like roughly trying to motivate students to actually go further into game development and how they can start and what simple tips they can do to like produce games and creativity. So on our agenda, I'm going to start with an article called Best Way to Make Games and discuss that a little. Then I'm moving on to creativity and talking around that topic a bit. Moving on to different processes that you can do and work with. And also mentioning competitions and game jams and how they can help you to evolve as a game developer. Silje is going to talk more about Merethe Digital, which is the competition that we entered and actually grew Size Does Matter to what it is today. She's going to also talk about indie development based on our experiences and also funding and especially NFI. And then we'll have questions at the end. So what is the best way to make games? It's a really big question. It's kind of not a specific answer to it because there's so many variables into making games. So it kind of just opens for discussion. And that's what I saw when I read the article and the answers on Twitter and like the community mentioned so many variables, like what kind of genre of the game is going to be made, what platform is the game going to be on, and team composition. What kind of skills does the team have, and how do they prefer to work? So I'm going to break it down a bit more since it's such a really big topic. So I'm going to focus on the individual team members and students and you as person. So moving on to what creativity is, this is a quote from an article. I have a link at the end if you want to read it, where it's stated that creativity is a skill that one can practice and hone. It's actually a straightforward process that you can make happen. So what it means is that you can take processes to help you be creative and help you actually make something, come up with an idea and iterate upon it. And that it can be hard, at least for me, I feel it's hard to just be creative on the spot. So I try to take certain things to help me actually develop stuff. And we're all individuals, so it differs from person to person. Like some people might like rules and work best with rules to kind of like iterate upon them and mold them into a new idea, which is what I usually do and prefer. But some people can just pick it out of thin air and come up with stuff, which I'm not that great at. So during our stay in Scotland for Merethe Digital, we got personal profiles. We answered questions that kind of like helped us see our strengths and weaknesses and how we work in a team, which might be relevant for you guys to check out if you want to know what kind of environment you work best with and what you contribute to a team. So I actually ended up on Inspiring Helper, and although I hadn't really realized it before that I was that kind of type, I don't feel like I'm that inspiring at all, to be honest, in a team. But as I read through it, it kind of helped me see what my strong sides actually are. But not everything fits you as a person. But it's worth taking a look at, and you can take tests online, free, but they're not that great. You can also pay for like more in-depth questionnaires. So every person uses different styles to actually be creative and work. I saw that Silje, like we work level designers on Size Doesn't Matter, and Silje was really detailed at the start on making a level, while I was more kind of like rough and just like putting it all out there and then going back to actually polish stuff. We both ended up with playable levels that were of great quality, so it kind of just proves that everyone has different ways to reach a goal. And I want you guys to find your own way, what works for you. It's pretty important to work as an individual, to work as a team. And you know best what works for you. We also have generic ways and processes, methods to help you on a team project. They have a really broad spectrum, so they work for a lot of people. For example, brainstorming, ID Bank, or the Golden Pen. I believe most of you guys who have been here at school, you've learned all these and tested them during Scrum and whatnot. And it worked for a lot of people, but you have to find your own kind of like individual specific way to work alone to be able to be creative in a group. And looking at inspiration, that is like a big topic for me when I actually start working and developing and iterating upon stuff. And Ralph Kosher states that almost every video game we create is a variant. So they kind of build upon each other. And he has a strong focus on innovation, and he kind of points out that it is a really rare quality these days. But I feel like he's kind of, he values innovation in such a high way that it's not possible for everyone to actually achieve it. But I don't think that's the case. Even if the game is a variant of each other, it's still innovative if it's an original idea and it builds upon other games to make something new. It doesn't have to like make everything new from scratch. So with Size Does Matter, we draw heavy inspiration from Super Hexagon, which everyone mentions once they've tried the game and they've played Super Hexagon. But we also draw inspiration from Bitrip Runner and Stepmania. And these are all the same genre, kind of music, arcade games. And we search actively when we were developing Size Doesn't Matter, and specifically for the user input. So I advise you to take notes of differences within the same genre of games, but also similarities. Differences make you see the variety in the genre, while similarities that actually points out what works in the genre, what works well, what every game does, that's what works well if they're successful. And if more games do the same thing, then it only states the fact that people enjoy that similarity between the games. So just search actively for inspiration in other games and look for the differences and similarities. It'll help you to kind of boost your own inspiration and creativity when you're making games. And competitions and game jams is a really important step for any game developer, I feel. It forces you to actually make something and to contribute in a team. And it's the process of participation that kind of like is really important for every kind of competition and game jam. You learn to work with a set deadline. I know lots of people make their own projects and have a deadline, but then it's really easy to say, well, I had a rough week last week, and the deadline is actually tomorrow. Let's just move the deadline a bit because I had such a rough week previously. But in a competition or in a game jam, you can't. It's dead set. So you have that time limit to work on, and it's really healthy to learn to actually have to produce something for a set time. It also gives you experience in teamwork, because a lot of competitions require you to have different skills divided on the team, and that also learns you communication, because a game designer may struggle to communicate his idea to a programmer because they have a different mindset. So the more you work with others cross-discipline, the better you get at it. And in general, competitions are practice for the whole kind of development process for a game. It's just like really short bursts and really intense bursts of development, but you will learn so much from it. And they also spark ideas. For example, Size Does Matter was kind of given birth to during enemy gameplay, where size matter was the topic, together with Shiftlings and Little Big Mansion, which probably some have heard of. That's 3 games coming out for one game jam that actually went into production. And I don't know if they're released Little Big Mansion. I'm not sure. I'll have to check it later. So we entered Dare to Digital during our classes here on NITH, which Silje will talk a bit more about later. And that's what actually grew Size Does Matter into what it is today. And IGF is also another competition that you can look at. They actually have a specific student contest, so it's no admission fee at all. It's free. So it's just experience working towards deadline, as it's stated earlier. And you get like the whole process of making a game for a set deadline. And you can only win on it. You can't lose. If you don't get picked or you don't win at all, well, at least you've gone through the process of developing an idea, prototype, or whatever you end up with for the deadline. And NM in gameplay, as stated previously, sparked 3 games here in Norway. Yeah, there's the titles. And it's held here in Oslo, so it's really easy to just go in there as a team and make something and learn something from it. Also, we have Global Game Jam, which is hosted here at our school, at least last year, and also at Hamar Game Collective, which I know some people are here from. So it's a really big opportunity to just dive in and learn something, get experience.
I'll talk a bit about Dare to Digital, which, as Lars said, was kind of the birth to Dahl Studios. We started out applying as part of a school project, and we just worked through a long judging process, starting out with some video interviews, and then we prototyped our game for the final process. So getting through the judging process is really it's really something that takes a lot of your time, but you also find out very soon whether the work or whether the team fits together. The process has changed a bit since we worked on it. When we entered the Nordic finals, we actually had an interview here with judges from several other countries, and we competed against some other international teams. But now you actually have to be able to either travel to Scotland, or then you have to do the interview online, which is also a possibility. So participating in Dare, it's really a wonderful experience. You meet a lot of other motivated student teams. You get to talk to people about your age who just want to make games, who just want to make something fun and show it off to people. So you're working full time, 5 days a week at least, and then you just try as hard as you can to realize the dream that you brought there. Getting mentored by successful devs, that was one of the key things to take away from there. There's a lot of people there who made games for years and years and years, and they have a lot of good advice. Yeah, so as I said, it's full time. You need to have an organized work schedule while you're there, but if you put enough time into working, if you put enough time into just being around your team, getting things done, talking to the other developers about what makes your game good or what you could do better, that's really great. Fridays and weekends, they have a lot of socializing, which is really super valuable as well. You have to be there for the social stuff. Not only you get the chance to meet people that you will probably be working with someday, but you also get to talk to a lot of the mentors, the people from the the bigger development studios, and they have a lot of good things to say, and a lot of contacts that you can use later. When you're getting through to the end of the competition, you should really focus on just getting something really playable. So you need to have something that's compressed together, and the gameplay should be really visible and as polished as possible, because when you're showing it up at a convention or anywhere really, it doesn't matter how much gameplay you have if none of it's as clear as possible. Yeah, and that applies to development in general. Just when you're making a prototype or you're making a demo, just focus on getting as little as possible, as titled down as possible, because then everyone will see what you're doing within 5 minutes, instead of them having to play for half an hour and then ask you questions about it later. Yeah, another thing about Dare is that you're getting paid while you're there. You're getting paid, so you can just eat whatever you like. You can use some of the money to socialize with the other students that are there, which is really great. And you're staying for free. They have locations where you can stay, where you're staying pretty close to the other developers as well. So you have you're basically living while making games, and you don't have to eat noodles all day. Yeah, talking to people from successful game companies, not just mentors, which are really great, but also users and people who have been in the publishing business for a long time. They really know what's going on. They have a lot of useful information that you could really, yeah, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to make contacts really. And you might get told by people from Rockstar that your game is cool, which was, yeah, it's really a humbling experience when people from Rockstar and even Ubisoft come over and play our game. We even had some of them say that our game should be more difficult than it was at that point, which I think was what made us, yeah, that was really what spiked us into making it more challenging. Dare Protoplay, it's a convention that's set up at the end of the Dare Digital competition. It lasts for 3 days, and about 1,000 people come through the doors each day. So you have a lot of opportunity to get people to play your game. You see what's good about it, what's bad about it. You can ask them questions, and they have a real great time playing. And then there's a voting box at the end, and if the people who came through the doors really loved your game, you might get an extra award for that. You might get funded at the end of the competition. We got funded by Channel 4, which was super awesome. And you might even get nominated for a BAFTA Wants to Watch. The 3 best entries by the judges' counts are nominated for the BAFTA. Yeah, there's no real reason not to apply. If you're a student and you want to make games, this is probably one of the best opportunities you'll ever have to just focus on doing that during the summertime. And then I'll talk a little about how we've experienced working and living as indies. So our main offices are now in Hamar. Previously they were in Kongsvinger. And except for Mattis and Trond, the team is a little spread out. Me and Lars live in Oslo, and then we have Nick in England. So communication through online services. We mainly use Skype for talking, having meetings, just setting things up. And then we use Facebook for organizing things a lot of the time. And we work online with all the project files as well. So we use Google Drive for documentation and plans, and then we use Git for all the code and project files. Yeah, some pros about being an indie developer. We have few limitations. We can shape our own product pretty much as we like. We can work on it, we can change things up, we can come with new ideas whenever we like. Yeah, we had a user, which was Channel 4. They decided to produce us after Dare Digital, and that gives us access to a lot of useful advice and a lot of assistance. They also took care of a lot of the release-related issues, so that's definitely something to go for. They provided a lot of funding. Although it was late in the process, it's really good to feel that you're getting paid for what you're doing while you're doing it, so you can live a little better. We have a lot of flexibility. Since we mainly communicate online, we can work from wherever we like. all the meetings are usually online, and work hours can be more flexible as well. There's also some challenges, of course, such as living. Living is really, really, really tough when you're doing indie stuff. There's no steady income at first, usually, unless you get funded from the very beginning. And some of us had to move back here with our parents, or take up part-time jobs just to get things to go around for a while. We've been relying on funding because it's necessary. Even if you find a way to live for free or for little cash, you just need the funding in order to get licenses, in order to go to press events, or in order to travel anywhere. You need to have the funding to do that. We had a producer. That's a challenge as well, not just an opportunity. They can be kind of intimidating, even if you don't sell your soul, because they're mostly in for the money. That's a pro, because as an indie, you often find yourself in a situation that you don't care about money, or you say you don't care about money, but they're just in it for the money. So they want to focus on getting the game sold, and getting the game sold fast. But there's also a lot of paperwork to get things started out. Lots of agreements, lots of things that have to be signed, or things you have to fight about with your producer, which is a challenge, but it's also a lot of fun. You learn a lot along the way. And there's little physical contact. Having just online meetings means it's hard for us to really get together, and things might get planned or talked about, but then the whole group aren't participating at once because we're all in separate places. So that's a definite challenge. Funding. So we've mostly used NFI. They have a lot of options that just fit us really well, and they have a lot of alternatives. For example, we have release funding, both national and international, which has really been helpful. It helped us travel to the BAFTAs, for example. And there's also a general development funding for when you're working with the game. In addition to that, they have a fund for traveling to the Nordic Game Convention, which is super useful, and which we definitely apply to. As for other options, you should really start out by looking for funds that fit your specific needs. Organizations have their specific wants, and if you can just find a way to fit into those wants, then you're probably good to go. Additionally, there's a lot of local funds, such as for us, we had Merethe in Kongsvinger, who got us funded there. That's really helpful. And a lot of counties or just local places have funds that you should apply to if you come from the area, or if you're working in the area and you're starting up. They want to help entrepreneurs. So as for applying, most of the organizations you'll applying to, they require some sort of CV. It might be a business CV, or it might just be a personal CV for the team, but you need to be able to provide skills and experiences and everything that they want in order to show off that you're really as good as you say you are. So focus on what you're doing will ensure that the game really succeeds. Make sure you show off how and why, or whatever you're doing, why is it making the game get out faster or get done? How will it succeed when it gets out the door? So think about budgets. Think about the budget a lot, and make a lot of assumptions. You're not supposed to know everything, but you have to do some research. You have to look through what the other games have done, and just think about everything you'll need. License costs, hourly work rates. Those are two of the most important ones, I think. License costs, they're something you maybe not thinking about early on, but it's when you look at the prices of licenses of the software you need, it's often like a smack in the face. You should overshoot a little. You need to include everything you need, as long as it's within the boundaries of the founding or the funding. So when you're applying, you need to think about everything that could possibly come up. And if you're thinking about everything that can possibly come up, then you've at least covered everything. Don't skip on it because you think, well, I don't really need this. If you think you can make a better game if you have it, go for it. Apply. Don't just think about it. Even if you think you might not get it, it's worth a shot every time. Just think about how you can present yourself as well as possible. They want you to apply, and you should just be out there trying to get their funds right away. You know what you need to make the game happen, so you need to tell them what you know right away. And you're making contact even if you don't make the money. So make them tell you what you did wrong if you don't get it. Maybe they can tell you how you can have a better application next time, what you did that wasn't good enough, and reapply.
So some key takeaways, just trying to motivate you to actually work well as an individual, to work as a team, and get experience through game jams and competitions, and get together on student projects, and just apply to every competition that you can find. If you have time, of course, but it's really, you get a lot of experience out of it. And as Silje has talked about, Dare to Digital is a fantastic opportunity. And we did really great in that competition, so we urge people to apply. And also all the funding that Norway can give you if you're starting up a company or just want to develop games, just apply and contact them like Silje said. So that was kind of the whole presentation. It went kind of fast, but that's it. That's the articles. If you want them, I can, I don't know, get them out to you in some way. But anyone, any questions or something?
You were talking about local grants or funds, so I was wondering what kind of funds did you get?
We got funded for actually establishing the company, because there's a fee to actually establishing it. So we got that funded. I mean, it's not like it's a whole lot of money, like in general, but for us it was a big deal back then, just to get started. And local funding is kind of hidden. It's not really easy to find online or something. So you just have to contact your local society and just ask for something. That's really all I can say.
Det är näringsfonden.
Näringsfonden.
But like, it's more local funds, like the further out from Oslo you get, because they want entrepreneurs to start in their
Outside of that.
yeah, exactly. So they want that growth in their own place.
Just a follow-up. Did you kind of go as a media company? Did you just set up as a media company, or what was the startup kind of idea?
Vi startade ett bak.
Thanks.
Any other questions?